Alright, a wonderful good day everybody and welcome back to my channel, God's Shadow. And today we're gonna talk about my experience in Paris. Almost already 2 weeks ago. I didn't really get around to making a video beforehand. I also didn't play any Grixis since then. But let's talk about what I played, how I ended up, and how it all went. So as you can see here, this is, by the way, public information on mtgdex.net. I went 6-3 on day 1, 9 rounds, which is quite insane. The GPs used to be cut by at 8 rounds a couple of years ago, but yeah, overall 66% win rate. And I came in at 69th from 500 players, or 497 players. So overall, I was pretty happy with the list. Everything I wanted to beat, I did beat. Had some bad beats against Living End and 4C, Omnath, Yorion, Domain, whatever. But overall, yeah, I was pretty happy. I couldn't complain. And 6-3 itself was also good enough to make day 2. Just my tiebreakers didn't hold, so top 64 was the cutoff, and I was 69th. So that was a little bit unfortunate, but nonetheless, as I said, it did work out pretty well. So in regards to the deck, Furies were a last-minute addition that I didn't actually own. I had to buy them in the morning of the tournament. The reason for that was that on Friday we're scouting the area and there was a lot of tribal decks, there was a lot of Hammer Time decks, and a lot of Affinity. Affinity is something that, you know, might be just a local phenomenon because I haven't seen it in other stores around Germany, but in Paris apparently Affinity was quite big. So yeah, Furies came in. The 4 subtlety were, of course, in the main board mainly to combat scam decks that were just very popular these last couple of weeks and months. And for the rest of the deck, I think was pretty clear. Of course, with the Furies main board and Terminates as well, I was able to cut my failed pushes, which I was pretty happy with because there was a lot of combo. And a lot of shenanigans that I wanted to stop before they entered the battlefield, so that was all good. The land base was also decent. I think the Creeping Tar Pits right now still, because there are so many token producers and such in the format, that you sometimes just want to have the unblockable ability. And then in regards to sideboard, I was also pretty happy. So the Necroplasms, although I didn't win against the Rhinos deck that I played against because Omnath in the end killed me, but Necroplasm performed very well overall. There's also a video of me in round number 5, I think, yeah, where I play the Necroplasms and actually the cast or the commentators, they don't even recognize it, which was pretty funny. But yeah, overall, cannot complain. I think the sideboard plan was pretty neat, and I didn't meet a single matchup where I thought I was outgunned or where I didn't have a good sideboard plan. Of course, sometimes, you know, against Living End, etc., it sometimes depends on whether or not you're on the draw or on the play, and a little bit on the luck factor, of course. But in every other matchup, yeah, just a good sideboard overall. Yeah, so that's it for the retrospect and the deck review. Let's jump into a model league here. So I made a couple of changes. As I said, this is completely untested, so it could be completely bad shit. But I think the modern meta has shifted a little bit again, and I do not want to go with Furies in the main board anymore. I also do not want to have 4 subtleties, and Cryptic Command is back in the main board as well. So Fire Ice is a little bit more flexible. The expressive iterations can bridge the gap from the mid to late game and find a little bit more action. And together with the Cryptics and the Armor Charms, etc., we do have enough value, I believe. And then in the sideboard, we do have all of our removal. We do have, of course, Plague Engineer, Necroplasms, etc. The unlicensed Hearse right now, I don't necessarily think they are as good. And I could also cut the Spell Pierces. This is still the sideboard, basically from Paris. But we shall see. Maybe I'll put more removal spells into the sideboard, but I still think that most of the meta right now is pretty top end heavy. Although we're basically not seeing any 4C Omnath lists, like the control or mid range or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, but there's a lot of creativity, of course, running around. Therefore, Spell Pierce is still good. And also Teemo Scapeshift decks. So yeah. Let's jump into League, see how it goes. Alright, welcome to round number 1. We're on the play, and I think we can keep this. A little bit of disruption. If necessary, we can also ditch the subtlety. We shall see. Obviously, we hope for not burn. Alright, so it's a Hammer Time deck with 2 Springleaf Drums. So I think I want to take the Mem Knight here, because then he doesn't have any plays, and maybe that buys us like a turn or 2. Let's see. Okay. We can also subtlety something, so we can counter a 0 mana spell here, which I will do so that he doesn't get the mana here. Of course, this is pretty aggressive, but I still think this is correct to do, because obviously our opponent needs the white mana. He's not even playing out the other Springleaf Drum. Okay, he is. Just forgot about it. In the heat of the moment. Alright. So, yeah. I mean, we have another counter. Obviously, we already took 10 damage without our opponent interacting with us. Yeah, Igmoth Nexus. I mean, yeah, that's what he can do here. I think I'm going to counter this as well. I mean, it's annoying for us anyway, and we're still slowing him down. And now we even have subtlety up, which is also pretty decent. Also, like with the mana constraints that he has here, it's somewhat likely that, I mean, he does have the blacksmith's skill as well. Alright, there's a white source. Good job, opponent. So subtlety good here, of course, due to the fact that our opponent could one-shot us with Igmoth Nexus. Let's see how he wants to play this. We could, of course, also kill an Igmoth Nexus here. Interesting. Goes with Sigardus 8, which we could also counter, but he does have a Pure Steel Paladin, so I don't see why I would do this. I don't know. I don't think I want the Thoughtseize here. Okay, so we do have a removal spell. That means that I want to play the Snapcaster here for value and a little bit of pressure. Yep, and I'm also happy with this cryptic command. That's fine. Now we do have a pretty decent hand here, I think. Ornithopter. So if I counter this, then he can activate Nigmoth Nexus for Pure Steel Paladin. Because otherwise he does have triple white accessible. Yeah, so I'm gonna go, I think I'm gonna fetch for 1 here. Because I want to have the additional blue, not a red source. I could also just counter it with a cryptic command TBH. Because then he cannot protect it, right? He activates here, taps this, then he has double white. If he plays a Pure Steel Paladin, he could have it, actually. Because then I will have to let it resolve. Yeah, alright. You got it. Because I'll have to let it resolve, and then he can protect it with a thing, which is somewhat annoying. And now I think I'm gonna go with a subtlety, because next turn, if he puts it on top, next turn we still have the cryptic command. That's fine. Just a template play. And now we have a good blocker and a good attacker as well. Yeah, and he put it on top. So it's just a straight up 2-for-1 for us. Now I can even take... let's attack first so that he doesn't activate the Nexus. And then goes with the blacksmith skill. Okay, does it anyway. If he wants to blacksmith skill here, that's okay for me too. Because now the only way our opponent has, I can't even like, and I probably will do that. I'm gonna go counter, turn to hand, yeah, this one. Oh man, I love Cryptic. Really missed it. Alright, let's play this tapped. Doesn't really matter, we still have Snap, Archmage Charm. Putting our opponent down to 10 here. I think the only way we lose this is by our opponent somehow being able to go Ingmoth Nexus and protecting it with a hammer. Alright. Alrighty. But what we can do, if he does this, yeah, it does have a hammer, but now we cannot activate the Ingmoth Nexus. So I'm gonna let this actually happen, and then I'm gonna take over the Ornithopter, and then we can actually kill him next turn. Okay. So game 1, actually this matchup is not as easy as it was here, because we have a lot of clunky spells. So I want to have this, I do want to have Fail Push, I want to have Grim Lava Mansa. And then we'll have to see. So Cryptic Command is definitely a little bit too mana intense here. Fire Ice is still flexible and decent. I want to probably cut one of these for 1 spell per use, especially on the draw. And obviously we could also think about this guy. let's go with this. I mean, we could also theoretically go with Unmoored Ego, naming Hammer. But then we could also be beaten by just constructs. So, yeah. Thanks a lot, Moto. Alright, so I think we're gonna ditch the Torak. Hope for a third land here. And depending on our opponent playing an Esper Sentinel turn 1. Alright, Springleaf Drum. Alright. Kind of want to go with the Xanus Launch here, but that might mean... But I won't be able to disrupt it anyway. So let's go with the Xanus Launch, see what our opponent is doing. If this were to be... Yeah, Stoneforge Mystic, this is pretty bad. Into Caldra with protection up, then this is very problematic. Yeah. Because if he does have protection here, then we won't be able to interact with Caldra at all. And this is exactly what I feared, but we also didn't have any way. Like, even if I didn't go with Xanus Launch, she would still have had that play here. And yeah, so it goes. So now we somehow have to raise the Caldra, and I think our only out here is actually an Armage Charm, which is also why I left one in. Oh. This cannot be correct. This cannot be correct. This cannot be correct. I think I'm just gonna go destroy and deal 2 damage here. Obviously the Teferi is slightly annoying for a counterspell, but the Caldra is way more important here. And we can still pressure the Teferi. Alright, he even, like, he down-ticked to draw a card. Just lol. Alright, so what we're gonna try is kill the thing here. We can't interact on the stack anyway. If he protects it, we're just gonna go after the Teferi. He does have something here. Okay, another blacksmith skill. Lol. So Snapcaster Mage could go after the Teferi, but it's probably better for us to first play the Grim Lavamancer. Because Snap Bolt is still lethal for the Teferi next turn, and I really want to go after that Giver of Runes. Okay, Springleaf Drum, cool. Hammer. Okay. Let's see. So now, the good thing about this is that I probably want to keep... I think I'm going to discard here, or exile the K command here. Alright, so now I'm going to go with the Snappy. Because our opponent can't even do anything anymore. And now we actually have a pretty good situation here where, yeah, our opponent just concedes. GG's. Alright, welcome to round number 2. We are on the draw. Let's see what we are gonna get in our opener. Nope. That's a little bit too top and heavy for my taste. Alright, yeah, this looks better. We can ditch, I guess, one Scalding Tron. Expressive Iteration at some point should be able to get us. I could also ditch Creeping Torpid in the beginning here. Let's do that. Oh no. Okay, so it's at least not burn. Underworld Breach. Okay. It's not great, but at least it's something that we can come back from. Ah, come on. This is extremely annoying in this spot as well, because obviously we're somewhat under pressure here. Okay, Cryptic helps us a little bit as it can bounce the constructs pretty well. Well, we definitely need to find something like... So I'm gonna fetch for red source so that we can go with Expressive Iteration the turn after this. Don't want to let him hit us one more time here. Alright, there's a K command. K command is potentially better here. It's gonna be a 3-3, but we could kill the Springleaf Drum. I mean, our opponent could also have a counterspell. But we definitely have to go after the shit here. So it's a 3-3. I can kill the Springleaf Drum and the Construct. I think I'm gonna try to do that. I could also, of course, get back the Snapcaster Mage. Just kill the thing here, and then next turn I would have Snap Bolt for another construct. But that's probably not going to be good enough. No, that's not going to be good enough because he can, of course, gets an additional copy here from that one. So destroy and damage. Let's hope our opponent doesn't have a counterspell here. Okay. The sagas are extremely annoying for us here. Not gonna lie, probably also gonna bring in like Relic or whatever. Okay, Ether Spellbomb. Let's go Expressive Iteration first. Okay. So I think I want to have something as painless as possible, right? So Scalding Tarn is basically out of it because, so I'm gonna put this into hand, this on the bottom, and this into exile. And then I'm gonna keep up the counter spell, and next turn we can go, because if our opponent brings something else down here, then we definitely lose. Okay. We get to counter the Ragavan, and we have another Cryptic, which also isn't super bad. So, if our opponent is a decent player, so what he'll do, and why I can't really bounce anything right now, is he's gonna bounce his own construct in response. I'm not sure if our opponent sees the line, but I think I have to not try it, because otherwise our Cryptic fizzles, and that of course. Let's undo this. See if our opponent plays something beforehand that we can counter. Okay. Oh, lord. Alright. Yeah, that would have been a lightning bolt. We could have bounced one and then lightning bolted the other one, and then we would have been back in the game. A little bit unfortunate here. Alright, so Grimlow Mansa, this. I don't think that I want to have the Thought Seizes. Cryptic Command also a little bit too mana intense here. I want to have that. I could even go... I think Unlicensed First is actually not good enough for this matchup. I do want to ditch this. I'm going to reduce this. I think I'm going to bring in one Unmoored Ego here. And the reason is, of course, that if we were to hit Underworld Breach, I don't think our opponent can combo off anymore, and that means we're just in a fight over a couple of constructs. And that's a fight I'm willing to take, especially with 2 Necroplasms in the main. But obviously we also have to get Unmoored Ego through, because our opponent is playing counter magic, etc. So it's not as easy as I made it sound, but that's also why. Oh man, this is a decent hand, but we're lacking red, and Spell Pierce is not a turn 1 play, so I think I'm gonna mulligan here. Yeah, let's keep it. So the issue is a turn 1 Ragavan, right? Do I want to ditch that? No, I need the Snapcaster Mage. Let's ditch the Expressive Iteration here. Play the Snapcaster, because if he does have a turn 1 Ragavan, then I probably have to go with a Snap to block it, because it just accrues too much value. Obviously it has it. Huh. Dottie's also interesting. But I think first and foremost we're going to try to stop that Ragavan here. A little bit awkward here with the mana both times, but what can we do? Nope. And that's certainly a card that we would have loved to draw here. Okay. We do have a Lightning Bolt, which is good. Spell Pierce is also decent, but I want to have, yes, a land. So if he fetches here, I'm going to respond, because the only thing that he can have is Spell Pierce to protect it, which he thankfully didn't have. And so, yeah. So we're hoping for another land here off the top, so that we can go Dottie into Counterspell. Ah, come on. Not the fucking Ragavan. Yep, I think I have to keep it up. And then we're probably trying to go Counterspell on the Ragavan. And if that doesn't work, then my goodness, our opponent had a really good draw here. What the fuck, dude? Just what the fuck? LOL. Oh, fuck my life. Insane. Super annoying. Super annoying. Unreal. Really fucking unreal. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Now OK command also goes. Alright, so Salty at least deals with that pesky Ragavan. So that's okay. somewhat annoyed, not gonna lie. So now we definitely either want a Necroplasm or another Snapcaster. Our opponent has just drawn spell off of these Ragavans. Just drawn spells. Insane. I put the Ragavan on the bottom, which, you know, is okay for me. Okay. Maybe we can raise him here. It's not going to be easy, and our opponent is playing removal spells as well. But we shall see. Probably also has Underworld Breach in hand, so he can go for a value breach. Our opponent had like a really good draw here. Actually, both games. I think I have to counter Ledger Shredder. There's no way around it. And then, of course, yes, he can have a value breach here. But I cannot let that resolve. Emery is also a pretty good card here. Yeah, there's no other way than just trying to win this into 2 turns. If we were to draw a Lightning Bolt, or our opponent doesn't have removal, then we might get there. Have him at 5 now. Let's see. Obviously, our opponent could also easily win here. Very much depends. But if he just goes for Emery, Mishra's Bauble, and a couple of value plays, then that's fine. Or, I mean, he could also have another Bold in hand and go Construct. But that's our only out here. We have to play our outs. There's another expressive iteration. Probably looking for a Lightning Bolt here. Or a Mox Amber, because with Mox Amber he can also win if he does have a breach. A 4th Ragavan. Oh man. Alright. Oh, really unreal. Really unreal. Let's draw a card, lands, Grimoire. Alright. Let's go to round number 3. Alright, welcome to round number 3. We are on the play, and this time around we keep. We have a decent curve in terms of card advantage and card selection. We just need to find the right answers, whatever our opponent's playing. Alright, so we're playing against Hammer Time again, for which our hand is actually a little bit too slow. So let's try to find a counterspell, a K command, Or removal spell, that's also okay. Let's go island here. So our opponent could think that we're on Murktide. Doesn't really change a whole lot for us, I think. But yeah. Interesting. I think I want to see what my opponent's doing. Damn it. Definitely don't want to have both of these. Lol. So we're definitely taking Cigar's 8. I also think it's a mistake for him to not play it out here in response. So I think I need to utilize this turn to actually go bold, snap bold, so that we can get rid of these constructs. And then we're gonna go with expressive iteration next turn. Because this turn we shouldn't be dying. See if he even does have anything else but a hammer that he can fetch up here. Oh yeah, sure. Ornithopter. That was this one. Okay. No. Let's go with expressive iteration first. To see. Oh my god. I guess this is a fetch for basics, so we're gonna put this into hand, this on the bottom, this into exile, and then we're gonna have a look. I mean, sure. If our opponent finds a Cigar is A, we're dead anyway, so I can also attack. Ah, fucking insane, like... Our opponent's drawn weirdly. We've just drawn lands. Ah, come on! And this was... Oh, fuck. Oh my fucking lord. He's also misplaying it. Oh man. Unreal. Like, you can just activate your Ignite Nexus. Okay. In the end, he saw the line, but what the fuck did we fucking draw? Fuck this shit. Unreal. Unfucking real. Okay. it was so obvious. Had to be an SP Sentinel because that completely fucks us here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna let this resolve and then just go fire on both of them. Obviously, we're still trading down there. Yeah, I'm gonna let this happen here. We are trading down here, but it's still better than all the other options that we have, I think. And he cannot protect it, so I think it's okay. So basically this is a tempo play. And with the Order Saga it might actually be relevant as well. So what I think I'm gonna do is, I mean, we need to find answers here. So I'm gonna go draw 2 if my opponent has a Spell Pierce here and wants... This is fucking unreal, man. This is fucking unreal. So it appears as if I did something to Moto today. Like, we're drawing really weirdly here. Yeah, he wants to get the stuff onto the battlefield, which is reasonable. Although... Okay, so he's just attacking for 3 and does nothing else. Doesn't even attack. Okay, so apparently it wants to protect it or something. So we're gonna keep this. We do have a counterspell as well, which is neat. So let's try to kill it in his upkeep, I think. So that we could potentially counter as well. Or do we die? If he has protection plus spell pierce. We shouldn't die. And did you play a land last turn? But I kind of want to restrict his progression here. So we can try to counter this. Then he has to tap if he does have something else. Which is fine. So we have the subtlety. Okay, yeah. Alright, so now we finally managed to get into a spot where we can actually do stuff. Fuck my life. Annoying as shit. Yeah, I think this is salty. Because that also, like, if he has, like, Ornithopter into something. Put it on top. Which is fair, I guess. Do I want to stay back with my subtlety? I think I do. And then we're going to try to counter whatever with the Teferi. But we don't know whether or not he has more lands in hand to enable that Inkmoth Nexus. Could all be a ruse. Obviously doesn't necessarily have to be. But we do have some sort of board presence then. Alright, let's try to counter. Currently it doesn't have anything to prevent this from happening as well. Alright, so now we're in a good spot. Alright, we got out of the jungle, I think. For the most part. And now we have a good hand and we're in a good spot. Was just a little bit cumbersome there during the first couple of turns. I definitely want that resolve. So that's a very annoying card. Alright, good. I think we really need to get onto the ground a little bit earlier this time around. And I want to have more interactions. We know that he's playing Teferi, etc. So I think that Spell Pierces are a little bit better than the Archmage Charms there. We got such a hand again. It's not a good hand. Not on the draw. But I think I'm going to keep because of the Spell Pierce. Could be relevant early in the game. Alright. Okay, subtlety is also decent. So. I could go Inquisition here. Try to prevent a creature from coming down, which will also slow him down. I think I'm going to do that. Because then, I mean, we also do have subtlety, which could prevent creatures, of course. So maybe I'm going to go with the Consider to set up turn 2 counterspell plus something. I kind of want to know what he has in hand as well, but then I would have to fetch for a non-black source. And I kind of need red as well. Fuck. So what are the most significant plays here? Probably a Stoneforge Mystic. Forge Spell Pierce doesn't do a whole lot. But if our opponent has Sigarda's Aid, now, fuck it. I think I'm gonna go with the Inquisition here first. Because I think that gives us the best outs to not having to utilize the subtlety aggressively. Yeah, alright. That's exactly what I assumed. So he's gonna play the Oasis Saga. Without this Stoneforge Mystic, he won't have access to the Springleaf Drum, and that will tie up his mana for the other stuff. Of course, I could also go for like Mana Leak, and Sigarda's 8 is relevant as well, but if he doesn't directly play Sigarda's 8 to keep up the Mana Leak, then we can Spell Pierce the the Sigarda's 8. So I'm gonna take the Stoneforge Mystic. Yeah, that's exactly what I hoped and assumed. So now we could try to actually tap this, and I think I'm gonna try to do it because he won't counter this because that's basically the same as tapping it. Okay, that's fine as well though, because then we have to deal with one less construct, which is very relevant for us. That's just a Windswept Heath. Currently he doesn't have. Okay, so he's gonna play the Sigarda's 8 now. Yep. Let's go try to find a land. Yeah, I think it's... Alright, we found a land, so we can disrupt his shenanigans here. Oh lord. This is very interesting. Is he gonna get the tiny creature? Like this tiny dude? Nope, a Colossus Hammer, but no creature. Interesting. So I think we're gonna go try to Subtlety here, because he shouldn't be able to do anything against it. Putting that back, and then we have Counterspell plus Spell Pierce next turn. I put it on top. Alright, so he doesn't have another creature, which means just have to get rid of that Stoneforge Mystic. And now we're drawing the lands. Great. My goodness, Moto. Doing everything in its power to fuck me over here. Okay. I think we're gonna go for Blood Crypt. I do want to have more black and red sources. And now the only cards that I want to see are Necroplasm, Snapcaster Mage, Subtlety. Okay, Ingolf Nexus. Counterspell isn't bad. Counterspell I can live with. That's okay. Alright, our opponent's flooding out a little bit. So if I go with the Torok here, then we definitely aren't getting killed by Ingolf Nexus next turn, right? Because he has to respond to it, and we have a good threat on the board as well. So I think we can do this. Alright, a Sigarda's 8. Because if our opponent were to draw, I think the most or the worst thing for us now would be a Stoneforge Mystic, but he already has 2 in his graveyard. So yeah. I'm just gonna go attack. We do have protection. that he wouldn't or shouldn't be able to get around. And now we're gonna be aggressive. Also, he should have played the Sagaris 8 for... Oh, come on. Worst possible. Worst possible. Can I win before this becomes relevant? Yes, I can, right? Whereas Saga isn't relevant right now already. He could, of course, block with Ingmoth Nexus, but I assume that he wouldn't. And then next turn we have lethal with the Creeping Torpid alone, which is good. Alright, just a land. Alright, this means we win. Got there in the end. I mean, our opponent also flooded out here, not gonna lie, but we also had a really, really awkward draw all 3 games there. GG's. Alright, welcome to run number 4. We're on the draw here. We have a little bit of removal, which is also pretty flexible in case we're not running into a creature deck. So let's see. Alright, yeah, and I was about to say that we haven't really encountered any Living End / Rhinos deck, but apparently that's the case now, which is unfortunate to say the least. Let's see. Okay, it's Living End, so they're not gonna go with Fire Eyes here, so I can fetch end of turn. And then it very much depends on whether or not our opponent does have Violent Outburst. We can't even... TBH... we can't even buy us another turn by just... icing one land there. I think this makes sense for a couple of reasons. Most importantly, of course, we could draw into another counterspell. Or discard magic even. Okay. None of the above. I mean, we do have another counterspell, which is decent, but our opponent does have access to red now. Yeah, alright, does have it. And that, of course, is pretty bad, because he has 2 of these River Winders in his graveyard. Okay, now we do have double counterspell. So our opponent needs to have 2 forces, or force and backup Living End as well. Yeah, does have a force. Pretty sure just deciding what he wants to. Discard, okay. He's looking for another force negation here, insane. Or even has a force and is looking for another blue source here. Lol, 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 lol. And this is exactly what I mean, like, double counterspell just isn't enough 90% of the time. It's just fucking insane. He's gonna look at my my top 3. I don't want to let him see my cards. double force, instant speed. It's insane. Alright, so we do have a couple of things that we can bring in. So we could cut that one completely. Kolaghan's command also not the best here. Fire Ice is still pretty flexible. Actually, I also think that expressive filtration here is just not where we want to be, because tapping out there, just not where. Okay. Hopefully we're gonna find unlicensors or Doughty in time, because our opponent certainly does have counter magic as well, and don't want to run my Unmoored Ego into... I mean, we can always ditch Unmoored Ego, of course. To Subtlety. So it feels like our opponent might have a Grief. He's currently missing... Well, do I take the risk here? He's currently missing green. But that doesn't mean anything, of course. Let's wait one more turn. Okay, it doesn't have green. Period. And I think it wants to grief us here. Huh. So I can go upkeep, ice. We draw an additional card. We do have Spell Pierce up. Okay, so now we can go... Still doesn't have green. So maybe we can risk it. Certainly does have a Force of Negation in hand. Pretty sure of it. Okay. This might be a better option though. Because I can actually Lightning Bolt my Doughty if he living ends in his turn. Which will exile the living end when it comes back. And that's exactly where I want to be. A little sad that we're not drawing any of our discard magic, because that would of course enable us a little bit better to plan our, our plays here. Alright, We're just gonna attack. Because I know that he doesn't have access to Violent Outburst, and only then it's relevant to ditch it into the graveyard myself. At least there's a clock on the field now. And my opponent's feeling the heat. Alright, there he goes. And I strongly assume that he also does have a grief, yeah. Alright, let's go cast with Armage's Charm. Put it on the bottom. He's not doing anything. So he definitely does have Violent Outburst. Alright, this is a mistake. So I'm gonna go... So my subtlety comes back if I let it through. Of course I can't block these two. And I can't play the Violent Outburst this turn as well. Let's go Spell Pierce. Because this way I can go Drown and then still sack it. Or kill it with a Lightning Bolt. My opponent shouldn't have enough resources. Also, of course, now I can actually utilize his counterspell. Force Negation. I don't really mind, right? Do I? IVF is a force here. I'm really considering whether or not I should just let it resolve. Okay, it doesn't have another force. So let's go on more Ego. Oh man, I don't know where I stopped the video here. Fuck. But it's game 3 of round 4, so we're still playing against Living End. I know that I recorded part of this match. And we have Unlicensed Hers, which is also good. So our opponent needs to have turn 2 force into turn 3 kill. Or, yeah, that's exactly what he needs. If he stumbles in one way or the other, I think we get him. Unless he has a grief here, then we might have an issue. So his cards need to be... So he has 4 cards in hand, right? His cards need to be... Okay. I think he's looking for grief here. Yeah. He was indeed looking for grief. Better lucky than good. Yeah, we have a lot of lands, basically. But at least now we shouldn't have the resources to also protect his stuff. Let's go with the tar pit here. And then next turn we will have double counter spell. And then more counter spells after that. Well, let's see. Our opponent doesn't have more cyclers, so probably some sort of protection. I could go with the Grim Lavamancer here, because our opponent's already on 13. And we're gonna have double counterspell in any case, right? So let's go with this. And then next turn we can start firing things up with protection. Okay, it's not a big deal. So if he does have interaction, then Spell Pierce should be good. And if he doesn't have interaction, then Grim Lavamancer is good. So that's alright. That's alright with me. And you also shock there, of course. So let's go with a Steam Vents here. A couple more red sources. And now we don't necessarily have to do a whole lot else, right? I do have enough blue sources. We have a clock on the board. Of course, it's not the fastest, but it's still fine. Actually, I mean, Creeping Torpid, even if our opponent can combo off, Torpid's probably gonna be enough. Yeah, let's keep this. Obviously, these land drops are not great for us because they significantly make our Creeping Torpids worse. So I have one more attack with that. Spell Pierce is dead now anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So I can also go with the Torpid already. Oops. Of course, he might have a Boseiju, but then we just get another land in. And now we basically have him at a 2-turn clock. Yeah, it does have Boseiju. That's fine. I do want to have this, and I do want to shock. Okay. So now we can go with Torpid again. Because he won't be able to do it this turn, and then next turn we'll have lethal with the Torpid. So yeah, now I think that we got there. Unless he finds another Boseiju, of course. Alright, GG. Alright, welcome to round number 5. I also found the spot where we actually skipped. And that was, of course, when I typed Living End into the Unmoored Ego. And now we're playing against Tron. Alright, so if I take the Chromatic Star, then he doesn't have access to green. On the other hand, though, he doesn't currently have another way of finding anything other than Sylvan Scrying. So if he finds another star, what's more likely? He's playing 4 stars and 4 Chromatic Spheres, and the same goes for Sylvan Scrying and an Expedition Map. So it's equally likely. So I think it's better for me to take the Chromatic Star here. Because that will also, of course, enable the Threk Tusk. So he's gonna need another green source anyway. And we will have to find blue mana, a lot of blue mana, fast. Alright, that is decent. Let me actually check. Maybe I'm gonna go already do it here. Could be relevant if I find another discard spell. That's also okay. Yeah, I think that's okay as well. That should give us another turn. Tower. No green source yet. Good. So I could go after the tower here, then even if he does have natural Tron, he won't be able to cast anything but potentially a Karn, the Great Creator. I could, of course, also just wait, see what he does, counter something. Doesn't even have another land drop. Alright, perfect. This turned out quite good. Then we are just gonna go play the Snapcaster, go for Consider to find another land. Alright, now we have Cryptic up as well. And I can go and tap something as well, plus potentially having Counterspell up, which is okay as well. Alright, that's an Expedition Map, and I think this is the moment that I take to generate a little bit of value. Obviously, I could also just bounce the Snapcaster here, but I think we still have enough interactive spells here. Yeah, so the only thing that's really relevant for us is Natural Tron. I think even, like, if he doesn't have a removal spell for the Snapcaster, he also won't have a removal spell for the Salty, so I think I'm gonna go with the Salty as well. Then we have basically a 3-turn clock. Which I strongly assume should be good enough. Okay, it does have a Warping Well. Alright, that slows us down a little bit. Interesting that he was gonna let that slide because he passed priority. So it wouldn't even have been... Interesting. Nope. Alright, yeah. Thoughtseize is a good card. Armage Charm as well. Yeah, a lot of green shit. Sunring Titan. I guess Ancient Stirrings is actually the card that is most annoying here. Don't really need expressive iteration right now. We're so far ahead here. Alright, opponent conceded. Now we only need to win one of the post-board games. Obviously, we don't have as much in the sideboard, but we do have a couple of things. So, Fire Eyes, while being good at slowing our opponent down, I think is a little bit too cute here, especially because our opponent could have Veil of Summer. And that could, of course, completely ruin our jizz there. I do want to have Unmoored Ego. I do want to have this. And one could consider... We haven't seen Karn the Great Creator. We have seen Thundering Titan in the main, which is really weird. I think with the subtleties we still have enough play against Planeswalkers, so I don't need to play this main, and then I can play one Chorak and like one Spell Pierce. Obviously that slows down our clock, but it increases our disruptiveness, and therefore I think it's okay. Alright, yeah, we have discard into counterspell into stuff, so let's see. Our goal is to slow our opponent down enough for Unmoored Ego to become relevant, basically. Alright. Good draw. Actually, we needed the additional land, so not unhappy about it. Let's see. Alright, so he's got Natural Tron. Perfect. Mulling into 5 into Natural Tron. Alright. A little annoying, not gonna lie, because now Unmoored Ego, of course, is completely dead. But of course also our opponent needs to find threats first. Interesting that he's keeping the Chromatic Star up here, probably as a way of protecting his hand against additional discard spells. And now he's looking for threats, which makes sense as well. Yeah, I think this train has left the station, so if he did find Nulamog there, so be it. Okay, we're gonna shock, and then I want to see what you have. Oh my goodness. Cycled into Nulamog and the Sylvan Scrying to cast it. How fucking annoying. Alright, there's Karn the Great Creator, which is not gonna resolve. Then we have Archmage Charm as a way of generating a little bit of value. And then we can go with Expressive Iteration next turn. They want to do it this turn because then I either can play something or I'll be forced to. Oh yeah, that's actually good as well. Let's go with the Dottie here. Oops. Black. That one shuts down Chromatic Stars. He only until now played a Chromatic Sphere, and anything but Nulamog I think is now very good for us. Because now we can actually... Do I want to go... I mean, I have double counterspell anyway. Doesn't really matter. Okay. Hands. Do I want to do this and put this into exile? Yeah, probably, right? On the bottom, and then this into exile. Alright. Relic of Progenitus is actually also pretty annoying. I think I'm gonna counter this just because of the Snapcaster. Because otherwise the Snapcaster is basically a dead card. Alright, there's a Cryptic Command as well, and now we're getting into territory where I think it's gonna be very difficult for our opponent to get through. Looks like he has a green card in hand. Do I care about an expedition map? I don't think so. I don't think so. Because even if he gets Sanctum of Ugin here, Forest, okay. Black Dusk. Let's go counter draw. Oh man, I missed you, Cryptic Command, I missed you. Oh, that's also good, because now... Now we have a 2-turn clock. And a little bit more life, just in case. I think I'm even gonna go Snappy here. And then into Cryptic. And that should do it. I don't think that our opponent gets out of that. Can even bounce the Snapcaster Mage with the Otawara. I don't even know what I just countered. Oh, Karn, yeah. Alright, GG's. So, let's have a look at the deck again, real quick. So overall, I think that went pretty well. We had a couple of tough matchups that we got through. And of course, in the beginning, we also had a couple of really bad draws. There definitely is... I mean, having the discard magic in the main board very much depends on whether or not, you know, combo is predominant in the meta or just a couple of creature decks. Currently, I still feel comfortable with the discard magic, but that might change at a moment's glance. And therefore, Fatal Pushes and Spell Pierces, or yeah, Spell Pierces in this case, could come into the back, into the main board. But overall, as I said, I hope you enjoyed it, and see you guys around next time.